Welcome back. You're looking live in Tel Aviv, where President Obama's plane just touched down moments ago. This is his first trip to Israel as President of the United States. He will visit Jerusalem. He will also visit Bethlehem, and he will meet with Israeli President Benjamin Netanyahu today as well. There's a lot of pomp and circumstance happening today. If we pull out on these pictures, you'll see that there's a red carpet that is there to greet him. There are a lot of soldiers on hand waiting to greet him as well.
I think very significant because in his first term, his team had basically said he won't go there until there's a peace plan that he was ready to present. And many this morning are calling this a listening tour, saying this is about managing Middle East problems, not about solving them, about having these discussions. And some are also frustrated with the fact that he'll be spending more time in Israel than he will in Palestinian territory.
And around Israel, there are actually signs or banners rather, with the president's picture on it, and also the Israeli flag. But there's a lot of opposition as well that's going to face him today. In the town of Bethlehem, protesters burned a banner bearing Obama's image. So he is going to face some opposition while he's there as well.
And we wonder, I mean, obviously on Air Force One overnight, we'd assume they've had discussions about the reports in Syria and a potential use of chemical weapons by the rebel forces or by the Assad regime. Whether the president will make a statement about that will be very significant.
Well, we know it was on his agenda. It was part of the agenda for his trip. But assuming now that it will take more importance and urgency, and it'll move up on his agenda as he meets with the leaders there.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The president about to, we believe, disembark
because we're not on a cruise ship, right?
But again, so significant because this is the president's first trip to Israel as president. You know, it was interesting because there was a lot of focus on Netanyahu during the election and backing, you know, who was he backing? He kept saying, I'm not getting involved in the politics of the United States. But there he is approaching to meet the president as he comes off of Air Force One.
And the president has quite an agenda today. He's also scheduled to give a speech to some of the college students as well. That's about a 40-minute speech that's scheduled for him as well on his agenda.
He'll be visiting Theodore Herzl's grave. He'll be viewing Dead Sea Scrolls.
That's causing a lot of controversy as well. And there was a lot of criticism that he had put those two items on his agenda because that's really a support of Israel. And a lot of folks are wondering whether that was a good idea or not, but those are indeed on his agenda. We're watching here live pictures from Tel Aviv. Air Force One has landed. This is the president's first visit as president of the United States to Israel. He should be deboarding the plane any moment now. We saw the Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, there to greet him.
And interesting also, the president will wrap up this three-day Middle East trip in Jordan, where he will meet with King Abdullah. And that is of even more significance now when you talk about Syrians fleeing possibly over the border into Jordan and any discussions he'll have with King Abdullah there in Jordan. But first and foremost, this significant meeting in Israel with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, all pomp and circumstance pulled out for this very important arrival and meeting.
There are a lot of soldiers standing by there. There's a choir that is expected to welcome the president as well there in Israel for the first time as president visiting. And you can hear in the background, I'm not quite sure what is happening there, but you can hear some announcements in the background as well from the military. As they welcome the President of the United States to Tel Aviv. There is a red carpet, lots of soldiers present. We saw Netanyahu walk up the carpet there in order to greet the President. We are expecting him to deplane any moment now. And for this historic visit to begin.
A very historic visit at a very important time with the focus on Syria. As you said, he will have this meeting, and then he's also going to attend a few lighter affairs, a book signing. He'll hear from a children's choir at Shimon Peres's residence. There will be a tree planting. There will be a press statement later this afternoon and a press conference with Prime Minister Netanyahu and also President Obama.
And he is also accompanied by his new Secretary of State, John Kerry, as well.
Right.
We would like to bring in Sarah Steigner. She is live in Jerusalem right now. Sarah, can you talk a little bit more about the president's mission?
So Sure, Zaretta and Poppy. We should mention that once he gets off the plane, one of the first things he's going to see is the Iron Dome missile defense system, something that the United States helps fund. The United States giving Israel somewhere around $3 billion per year for its security. They are actually bringing one of the Iron Dome batteries to the airport so that he can see it for time purposes. And this is the battery that has
Sarah,
basically
I don't know
blown
if you can see
missiles
this or
out of the
not.
sky
Sarah,
from Gaza.
If I can interrupt you for a minute here, we are looking at President Obama as he is coming off Air Force One there to meet Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Sorry to interrupt you. I don't think you have the pictures. I don't think you're watching them as well. It's a big smile as he is there to greet Benjamin Netanyahu, or as Benjamin Netanyahu is there to greet President Obama. Yes.
How are you? Good to see you.
And Sarah, continue if you could.
It's wonderful to be here.
If
We can listen in a little bit, yeah.
Good to see you. Good seeing you. Thank you so much. Thank you. It's wonderful to be here. Thank you so much. Thank you. Mr. Grant, great to see you, brother.
We're glad to have you here.
Absolutely. It's great to be here. Thank you so much. How are you?
I'm the Chief of Protocol.
So nice to meet you. Thank you so much.
Great honor.
How are you, sir?
Military Chief of Protocol and the two ADCs, and we'll go.
Very nice to see you, sir.
Pleasure to meet you, sir.
Very nice to meet you, sir.
Nice to meet you. Welcome.
Nice to meet you. Thank you so much. Where would you like me? Right here? Okay.
המשמר ידגל.
Rest for these 2 days.
דגל. צ'ק.
Get away from Congress.
I don't know if anybody else is surprised here, but I have never really heard conversations like this happening.
We always see the president, and it's usually...
We see the mouth moving, but we never hear what's coming out. So this is really interesting to be able to eavesdrop on this conversation.
And as you heard, a very warm welcome, even hugs exchanged, saying we're very happy to have you here. The president saying very glad to be here as well. All smiles. Really a nice inside look at the greeting of the president and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of such a significant historic visit for our president, and to be able to hear that warm welcome.
Sarah, we're going to let you jump back in here again.
Sure, yes, I can hear you, and I could also hear the greetings there. And, you know, there have been other meetings where things weren't so chummy. So you're seeing this relationship mending, because there has been a lot of talk about the fact that these two men have had a very cool relationship, to say the least. And look, there are some really serious issues that these two and President Abbas over in the Palestinian territories need to talk about. One of them, of course, for Israel is security. That is their main concern. Of course, they want to talk about Iran and the potential of it obtaining nuclear weapons. The United States and Israel differ on when they think Iran could obtain a nuclear weapon. The United States has been wanting Iran to give it some time, more time, to try and deal with this diplomatically. Israel is saying, look, we've given them plenty of time. There needs to be more force used against Iran in case of its building of this nuclear weapon, which Netanyahu has said many times he believes was going to happen this spring or summer. The president saying, look, we think that if they do indeed decide to build a nuclear weapon, that won't happen for a year. So we'll see what happens with that discussion, but that's high on the agenda. Also, as you mentioned, Syria and chemical weapons. This new report from the Syrian regime that rebels were using chemical weapons, the U.S. not buying it. They believe that it may have been the regime that used chemical weapons, whoever it was, and if it did happen, this could be a game changer, and that is on the agenda as well. A senior Israeli official telling me that there will be discussions with the president, between him and Mr. Netanyahu, as to whether the U.S. should take action, perhaps strike Syria to keep it from sending missiles, for example, over to Lebanon, to Hezbollah, a group that both say is a terrorist organization. But when it comes to chemical weapons, very difficult to deal with, something that has to be dealt with on the ground. So we'll have to see what happens with those discussions. That's certainly an important discussion being had. And then lastly, the two-state solution, the peace process between the Israelis and Palestinians, that is certainly on the agenda. There is not a lot of hope that there's going to be an actual paperwork, an actual agreement, or an actual start to the peace process. It has been failed for about 3 years. A lot of people say it's dying, but the president clearly wants to push the peace process and try to get something done. We'll have to find out and wait to the end of the visit to see if anything happens when it comes to that. Zoraida, Poppy.
Sarah Seidner, thank you very much. You know, Zoraida, I think it's so interesting. It was just a few months ago at the UN General Assembly when we will never forget those images of Prime Minister Netanyahu holding up a photograph of the bomb and drawing that red line, and also all of the discussion around him not being able to get that meeting with the president while he was in the United States, now to see such a warm welcome. Let's let our viewers listen in a little bit more, if we can, to this.
These are live pictures of a historic moment. President Obama making his first visit to Israel as President of the United States there. He is with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. It's a historic trip. It's also a very important trip, as there are many items on the agenda, including the crisis in Syria that's happening, and you know, the chemical weapons, the suggestion of chemical weapons being used against the people in Aleppo. It's a packed agenda for the president. Our question was whether or not he would be addressing the situation in Syria.
And it's been unclear whether or not the president was going to make official remarks here right as he touched down or not. We know that he will view the Iron Dome, that is the aggressive defense system that Israel has used even just in its most recent conflict. He will go view that. We will be monitoring this, and of course, if we hear any remarks from the president or Prime Minister Netanyahu, we will bring them to you live.
It is 35 minutes past the hour. We have some other top stories that we'd like to tell you about.